Today I'm joined by Malanie, the co-founder of the Little Sri Lankan, a supper club that serves more than just food. It's a true celebration of Sri Lankan community, culture and heritage. Malanie and her husband set up the Little Sri Lankan 5 years ago, inspired by her roots and the flavours of her mum's home cooking. It's a true family affair that comes through in every dish that they serve. I recently had the pleasure of attending one of their supper clubs, and not only was the food delicious, but I really resonated with Melanie's story. So I'm really excited to have her on the pod today to talk about all things food, family and finding purpose in your roots. Thank you so much for coming today. Can you tell me a bit about your background and what led you to starting the Little Sri Lankan?
So I'm Sri Lankan. I was born in Colombo in 1984, and then when I was 4 years old, I moved to England. And basically I just wanted to tell my cuisine, Sri Lankan cuisine. It's not known. We started it because of COVID. We moved to Manchester in 2019, ready to buy a house, and COVID happened 6 months after. We're both chefs, my husband Michael and I, and he was getting very depressed. He was getting very down because he had just gone to agency work, and then he fractured his elbow on sipping on ice cream lid, bless him, and then he couldn't work. And then when he was healed, everything was closing down, so he couldn't work, and we were supposed to buy a house. He had this future imagined, and then I went to my mum's house in London after COVID, and she gave me a rice packet when I went back home with curries and stuff, and it was in a microwave meal. So I said to Michael, let's just do this from home, because restaurants weren't open then and everyone was using Deliveroo and all this. So we did that, and it is because also, especially Michael really wants to do as well, just share my family recipes, share what Sri Lankan cuisine is, because it's really different. It's got a bit of Malaysian, it's got a bit of Dutch, Portuguese, British heritage. We've always wanted to do a business, but I think this pushed us into it. And even though it's been hard, it's been really good. And I wanted to share my mum's recipes and my dad's recipes and my family's recipes and how we in our culture cook, and also to teach about curries. Not every curry is the same.
It's so different as well, isn't it? What people have here, what's known more here is kind of a take on North Indian. We don't really hear about South Indian, Sri Lankan, those kind of curries very much. And when it's such a different taste, isn't it?
It is. It's a lighter taste. I think I love North Indian curries, don't get me wrong, but it's a different curry. It's like Burmese curry is different, Malaysian curries are different, Thai curry is different. And also it's to change the aspect of when I was growing up. I said I was Sri Lankan, even in London sometimes. I'm Sri Lankan. Oh, you're Indian. It's not the same. Sri Lanka is a country underneath India. It's a separate country. And even though it has similarities, different ways of cooking, different ways of using that thing. We use green cardamom, or, Indian is very similar. Kerala food's very similar as well. But it's just the different aspects. And it's also show that it's not just rice and curry, there's other things. A lot of the times when we first started, they said, do you have naan? I said, sorry, we don't. We do little roti breads, but not naan. In London it's there because it's a mass multicultural, different cultures in London, and it's been like that, it's been growing like that for decades and centuries. But in Manchester it's slowly becoming foodie, and I think people are looking for different things. But yeah, I just basically wanted to. And my mum's she's such a good cook. My dad's a very good cook. My mum loves to cook different. She learned how to do Chinese from a lovely old Chinese lady. She learned how to, she did cordon bleu.
Wow.
Yeah, little, not the whole thing, but a little. I remember when we were growing up. She used to make our birthday cakes when we were younger. So I think that's the reason I got into hospitality. But yeah, basically what I wanted to do.
People are very, like you said, open. They want to find out more about different cultures. Yeah. I've been to one of your supper clubs, and one thing that I really loved about it is how authentic it felt. Like, it didn't feel like you changed the spice levels. Like, it felt like home cooking. Like, it felt like I was eating my mum's cooking.
Oh, good.
I really like that because you didn't westernize it at all. And I really loved the way that you educated the people who came, your guests, on the food that you were serving as well.
Oh, good, because that's what we're trying to do. Because supper clubs, they can be different. And I think supper clubs are from what I know what supper clubs are, when I was introduced to it by a gentleman called the London foodie, Louise Horror. And basically in London, he used to host supper clubs the way we do it. And I haven't seen it done a lot that way. In London, they've done a lot, but not here.
Yeah.
Basically, he had 35 people. He'd host chefs. It was 35 people, 12 courses. And my mum, that's how my mum got introduced. She used to go. And basically, we helped her do one. And
wow.
it was amazing. But poor woman, like, she's like, and she did literally 4 days, 35 people, 12 courses.
Wow.
And she'd help us cook and prep, and we'd have to go from our house to his house every day with all the staff and prep it. So I remember she said the last day, she said that she wanted to pretend she fainted so the ambulance come and she'd sleep. And then I'd come running around the corner going, come on me. I'm in Sinhalese. Come on me, one last push. And she's like, oh, okay. So she said she understands why we do chefing still.
Yeah.
It's a very hard industry, but she says she understands it because it's the thrill of doing, and that's what we get out of the supper club.
Yeah.
We love our job, but the industry is very hard. So to do this and share my culture and stuff is a very lovely thing, and it gives a meaning to your job. Do you mean?
It's such a connector, isn't it? Because it's a way to share your culture, your heritage, how you grew up. Your stories revolve around food as well.
Memories.
Yeah. It's just, even at your supper clubs, like that opportunity to not only eat the food but hear all of your stories. That was
does it make it feel
yeah.
Oh, good.
I think that's such a nice, unique experience, because when you go to a restaurant, lovely, don't get me wrong, and the food's always gorgeous, but you feel disconnected from the person who's made it. Whereas with your supper club, you're there, Michael's there, you're talking about how you started the business, all your memories in Sri Lanka, here, videos you do where you speak about important eating with your hands.
Yeah.
That's so important.
I don't
so
think
good
it's
that
been done a lot. That's it, and that's what we want to do. And also Michael, I swear he's Sri Lankan now, because we've been together for 12 years. We've been married for 2, but been together for 12. And the first thing we did when he moved to London, well, I was living with my mum, he was living by himself, to start the relationship. And the first time he met my mum, we went to her flat, and we made lumprai. Or we made rice packets with banana leaf and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So we chucked, and because he's a chef, and also he loves learning different cultures, cuisine, he's thrown into it. And he'd never eaten Sri Lankan food before. He'd never even heard of Sri Lankan food. I think he'd heard of Sri Lanka, but not Sri Lankan food. And he was blown away. So that, I think he, to be honest, started this business because I wanted to help him feel useful after, he's worked like 16 or whatever. I could see him getting down, and I went back to work. So one of the reasons is to get him enthusiastic again and something to do with because the industry really hit us hard, employees and stuff. So also for the cuisine. So I have to give a lot of love to Michael. Like, he does all the cards, the little cards.
Yes.
All those sweets. It's him and Anna who are branding. But I am like, I will keep the tradition and the history. And he always says, it's for you and your mum to push it and the thing. So that's really sweet. But I swear he's Sri Lankan.
Yeah. I'm trying to Sean Malayali. And even when you were saying when Michael met you, and I have a similar story, because when Sean met my parents, he's always talking about how good my mum's cooking is, and it's proud that they're taking on your culture.
And you feel loved. You feel like you really want to be part of your culture. Yeah. And that is because it is hard. You can forget about culture, but my mum made sure that I always say I have the best of the British, best of the Sri Lankan. Because she liked the modernisation things of the West, and she always dreamt of, she read all these books, and she said she dreamt of, a bigger world and Trans-Siberia and all that. She did that, but she always keep the culture, or the good aspects of our culture, which is tradition, the food, family is,
community
and thing. I mean, the funny thing, I used to sing these. But I was bilingual when I was growing up. But then when we came here, we stopped speaking Sinhalese. But I do say Ammi. Aki means older sister. She calls me Nanga, which means younger sister. So there's certain things. I think those things are very sweet.
I know you pivoted your business from more fusion style cooking to more authentic. What made you decide to do that?
So when we first started doing the rice packs, it was traditional. It was rice and curry in a rice pack. And then when we did our first market, it was rice and curry. But even though we did well, it was in the market. So we knew a lot of people there and they had already tasted our food. We did well, but the burritos and the handheld stuff, the burgers, the burritos, the fried chickens, the things, those sort of things were doing better. And I understand why, because they were handheld or little grab and go stuff. So one of the reasons was the practical reason. We were doing traditional and then we did Sri Lankan inspired because when we first started, we had to get the massive quantity of customers trying our food. So we did Sri Lankan inspired because a lot of people didn't know Sri Lankan food. They thought it was Indian. I think only recently, in the last 10 years in up north, cuisine culture is growing. Different types of cuisine, not just Chinese or Thai or Indian. So we had to introduce something. And someone in Levenshulme Library asked us to do a pop-up for them, the toasties. And Michael just said, look, why don't we just do Sri Lankan inspired toasties? Which I was like, oh, actually, let's try that. So we did chicken curry with cheese and a beef roast with capsicum, and it really hit off. So it was to introduce basically Sri Lankan flavours, Sri Lankan dishes with a familiar product. So basically we did do Sri Lankan inspired because of that. You needed to get your numbers up. We came here with no one, only knowing one friend. We weren't in the industry in Manchester. We were all down south. So we needed to get the people eating our food because we knew our food was nice, but we needed them to. It's all about Instagram and followers and that sort of thing. So for markets, we started doing Sri Lankan inspired. Also the loaded fries. Now, I didn't want to do fries in a market. First of all, it's because I would have had to eat some. And they're very Moorish. I do love fries. But also it would help introduce everyone, up north especially, everyone loves fries and chips. But also for the children, because curries and everything is very hard for children. So we started doing, Michael said, look, we'll do loaded fries, but with the Sri Lankan curry, with the Sri Lankan pulse sambal. We'll put tamarind mayo because tamarind is Sri Lankan. We'll use our chili sauce that we jar now. And actually it tasted really nice. And then we did a Sri Lankan burrito, which my sister was like, that's such an amazing idea. So basically just a tortilla wrap with rice, curry, dal,
I bet that's
and the
yum.
salad. Yeah. And then we rolled it up. And actually my sister was like, that's a really good idea because you eat with your hands anyway. You mix it up. And also this is just basically just walking around. So it was to introduce people to Sri Lankan food and for the people that didn't like curries. And also rice and curry, I think is very heavy for some Westerners during the day in the heat or whatever. In the winter it's good, but that's basically why we did it. But we changed it, so now we've got our followers and we know that our product is good and there are people that will eat it. And then also that there are customers out there that truly want traditional Sri Lankan food. And we found out that there's a lot of people, Sri Lanka is becoming very popular, I think.
It is,
in the last few years, it's become very popular for tourists. They're doing jungle raves now. You know, I know. A lot of people have gone to Sri Lanka and come back but can't find the traditional authentic food. And also they're finding it's South Indian, but they're calling it Sri Lankan. So that's when we started doing our supper clubs because we've always wanted to do supper clubs, but you need to get your followers and your customers base first by the quantity of the things you do. So yeah, started doing supper clubs. Did our first one in Nourish in Wilmslow, and we realised actually there are people there that want authentic food because they've been to Sri Lanka or because they are Sri Lankan or because they've gone out with the Sri Lankan or friends Sri Lankan. So that's when we started doing the supper clubs. And our guests, I call them guests within our supper clubs, and converse with them. We can find out about them. We can find out about us. They're really interested. Like you had a really nice conversation, didn't we? And we found the similarities that we felt when growing up in England as Kerala, isn't it?
Yeah.
From Sri Lankan upbringing. So markets, it was just get the food out. Yes, we can talk, but we can't explain. Also, we couldn't explain a lot of stuff we couldn't explain the cutlets, what they were or thing. But in supper clubs with the authentic food, we can explain it. And I think that's what people like as well. And they want to know, also nowadays, people want to know how to cook it correctly. We do authentic, but we do a modern twist. So like, we wouldn't put sauces with cutlets, or so we need to put something on. You can't just give that. You need to make it a bit more fancy.
Yeah.
It's
always have ketchup with our cutlets.
We have Maggi sauce, so it's traditional Sri Lankan cuisine. So the things you would eat in that dish, but we've added a few modern tweaks, which I think actually in Sri Lanka they're doing a lot of.
Yeah, I think that's natural to the way that we eat food now. Like my mum makes us fish cutlets. I'll have that with ketchup because you're living here.
Yes.
So you're naturally fusing British foods, condiments with what you're eating anyway.
What you're used to.
Yeah.
And also a lot of people are different cultures getting married together or going out together. With English people.
Yeah.
I think it is good because it allows infusion. I think that's why infusion's coming in. Different cultures are living together and getting married together. And then when you get children, they're going to be part of both cultures.
Exactly.
I know Michael and my brother-in-law want us to keep our culture. That's why we've both taken our surnames.
I love that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Michael's Hooper Tilakratna.
Yeah.
Malanie Hooper Tilakratna. My sister is Shamli Tilakratna Cox. Cox is his name, and he's Rob Tilakratna Cox. Because the thing is, they did it. We wanted to keep our Sri Lankan because we don't have any brothers. We're the last Tilakratnas, I think. So we wanted to keep our Sinhalese culture and names, and they wanted it. Now the funny thing is, my sister and her brother-in-law gone Tilakratna Cox, so Tilakratna's the first one, whereas me, I went Hooper Tilakratna because when you're signing deliveries and stuff,
Have you? Yeah.
integrating now. It's want to keep the best of both worlds, but also Michael's good with that fusion because he has the fine dining and French trained as well as pastry chef and stuff. He's French trained. But when I look at Sri Lankan food, I see traditional. What I grew up with is probably the same. It's not cooked right.
Yeah.
Like you said, we keep our flavours traditional and we use traditional ingredients. What I see is traditional, and I see, okay, you can have this with this and this will be nice. My mum reminds me as well. She's very excited. So because she goes, oh, I cooked this today, and I said, have you written down the recipe? She goes, no, I can give you the ingredients.
Oh, they never write down recipes. Oh my God. It's literally like I had to ask my mum to come here to teach me how to make a prawn biryani. And literally, she just goes on vibes. Like
it's really quick. Yeah.
Oh, like, grab some salt. How much salt are you taking? I don't know. Just do it to taste. Like, see if it tastes right. I'm like, I don't know.
Do you know, we made the cake and it was in the Sri Lankan book, and I said, it didn't have a temperature. It had a medium oven and it didn't have the time. And I said to my mum, how long do you cook? When it smells ready. I said, what?
Yeah.
It smells ready, but...
Yeah. Part of it is actually amazing because it shows they're in touch with the food.
And also it's in your heart.
Yeah. Body memory, muscle memory almost. My favourite celebrity chefs is Asma Khan.
Oh, and we went to her supper clubs and my mum used to go to... She's London foodie.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, and then my mum met her.
Oh, amazing.
She's amazing.
Is she? Because I listened to her podcast.
Oh, she's amazing.
With her new podcast, and it almost made me cry because the way she talks about food and the connection with food and putting love into the food.
Yeah.
She says that her whole kitchen is only women. And she's chosen that because she said men would come and they've been taught by a kitchen, so they're there with instructions, whereas women have grown up seeing their mums,
their
aunties, all home cooks, and they know that traditional cooking.
Yeah.
And they're doing it with love and from a place of love. And I was like, wow, that is so
She's
true.
amazing. And if you ever go to London, Darjeeling,
I need to go.
It's amazing. And her biryanis are amazing as well. I love her because what she's doing is the women in the industry. And in this industry, you have it really hard. And especially, you don't see a lot of especially women. And I've seen in this industry, whereas I got as a chef manager, there's hardly any women right at the top as a chef.
That's so
maybe in the office, but as a chef, I have seen very few. And I think that's because it's such a hard industry to get a work-life balance that when they have children or they want to, or they kind of, or they start their own business, which is the best way. But as we can't, She really slates like these male chefs. Love it. It's hilarious because it is a testosterone based environment to live in. But she says what she says, and she says everything right, and she's true. And also she does the home cooking because, like you said, the men have learned from their women in their lives. I had a chef that in one of the hotels in London, he didn't think women should be in the kitchens because they were too weak. So I had to show him that I wasn't. You have to let me go and get all the storeroom stuff, like 25 kilos, and I'd do it. She is really telling them off, and there's no one else in the industry that's really telling them off.
Yeah,
And,
she's amazing.
I love her. I
Yeah.
love her. And like, my mum went to a book signing, and she was really lovely. It's truly how she is.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah. She does seem like an amazing person. Yeah.
She said she learns from seeing, and that's how I had to teach Michael. Like, we had to first teach him recipes, because even I didn't know it was recipes, even though I used to cook it and it tasted nice, it tasted Sri Lankan. But there's certain recipes that I don't know.
Yeah.
Also certain combinations I don't know, because my memory of Sri Lankan cooking is from when I was younger, helping my mum and tasting. So I had to teach Michael how to cook Asian food, because it's very different from French cuisine. I think it's a bit much more in depth personally, because you've got so many layers. And also I had to teach him how to use the spices or the turmeric. I wanted to do all this sous videing and all this. Mum was like, no, Michael, learn how to do it the authentic way, and then you'll know how to get the flavours and things. So like small, which is like a pot roast, and you put dark curry powder, lime, pickle, cinnamon, everything you do, but you do it in like either an oven roast or those pressure cookers.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it in the sous vide, but like Mum said, and I agree with this, learn the flavours, how they should be
First,
and then you can. So once he did do that, and my mum said he's got the Sri Lankan flavour. We then started doing the beef more in a sous vide, in a water bath. So it basically, all the flavours were in that water bath, and it slowly cooked on the same temperature for hours on end. And you still want that roasted flavour that you get from a pot roast.
Yeah.
Then he knew how to sear it. So he's got it now. And I say on that card is that we were taught how each dish should look and each dish should taste. And just, should all taste differently. A dark beef curry is a dry curry. Beef curry is tastes this way, but it shouldn't taste like this. Do you know what I mean? And
for sure, yeah.
Also adjusting it. If I taste it and if it's something's be adjusted, I do it, but I find it hard to explain to Michael why that needs thingy or what you need to put in. I just do it. Cooking is always the best.
Yeah, you're never going to beat that. No, I don't think I'll ever taste a better biryani than my mum's.
No.
Like, she just does it so well. Yeah, it is your childhood and all those special moments, because obviously biryani is what you have on special occasions. So it takes you back to all those birthdays. We used to have it for Christmas.
Yeah. It takes a while to cook it. And it's I think food is a connection to history and a connection to memory. The one thing I love about being a chef and being in hospitality is that you are involved in people's celebrations and people's things in life, weddings, christenings. I think food is the one thing that is really, if it's bad and if it's good, that will stick in your head.
For sure.
Food is always the base of your memory. And also, like, when you're a child or you're growing up, is the memory. One of the reasons I don't think we'll come out of hospitality, and I think that's one of the reasons I went into hospitality.
Can you tell me about the food that you serve at your supper clubs and what led you to choosing those dishes?
We have one in Mirror Mill in Stockport. It's 4 courses. We have a cocktail that we use with Sri Lankan ingredients, so coconut or lime, or and then we also sometimes use our Araks alcohol from Sri Lanka, and a snack. We do it seasonally. Michael's the one that writes the menus. If it's summer, we do more light dishes, things like ceviche. We don't like to do the same thing all the time. We want to use dishes that are unusual. People like, oh, I've never had that before, I've never heard that before. Familiar for people that have gone to Sri Lanka. And so this is why we do sometimes rice and curry. This time we're doing putu.
Oh, yeah.
It's breakfast as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And it's like a rice flour and water. You get actually a pre-made mix. Put it in a long steamer. So there's massive pot of water there. You put a lid and it has different peaks that go up. And then what you do is you stuff that, not tightly, but you stuff it with
Ground coconut.
and then the rice mix. We like rice flour mix because you steam it and then it comes in a big cylinder.
Yeah. What do you have it with chickpea curry?
So you can have with a wet curry or you have something wet. So for this time we have it with a side called goda hoda, which is, so it's not cooked. It's onions, garlic, chili pieces, and sometimes you put those Maldive fish, you know, the dry fish.
Yeah.
What you mix it with your hands to macerate everything, and then coconut milk as well, and then you put lime juice in it to thicken it. So it's the lime juice that thickens the coconut milk. And when we serve it, we heat it up a tiny bit because you don't want stone cold food. And then that's what you put on the pitu, because pitu can be dry.
Yeah.
So you have something, but the pitu soaks up all the sauce. So you have to have it with the goda-hodi or kiri-hodi. Kiri-hodi is the cooked kind of version. And then we put with green cardamom and black pepper curry. We make the curry a bit saucier. It's supposed to be a dry, but just because hot hold things, you don't want it too dry. But you serve it with something that's wet.
Yeah.
And then we serve it with pole sambal, pole coconut and Sinhalese. And sambal is like a spicy, tangy relish that you add to dishes, which really lifts it. So
Similar, South Indian and Sri Lankan cuisine. They're also different because we'll have putta with and we kadla curry, which is like chickpea curry.
Yeah, kadla.
That's so different to the curry that you have it with, and it's just so interesting understanding what each place's take is on it.
And we use it as a breakfast thing as well, but we have it doesn't have to be a specific curry. It just has to be a curry thing. But it's like string hoppers. Have you seen string hoppers?
Yeah. We call it
England?
palapam.
Yes.
And it's called nulapam, which is because nula means string.
So the string hoppers, you have to serve it again with, we always serve it with kiri hodi, which is onions, garlic, a swish of garlic, slit of chili, and tomatoes, but sometimes it hasn't. We put turmeric, but that you cook it down and then you serve it with eggs, boiled eggs. And you put boiled eggs in, you cut them in half and you put them in, but you always have string hoppers with kiri hodi.
See, it's different because we have like string hoppers as well, or nulapam, but then we'll have it with like an egg, or we will have it, so this is what you serve to kids, or also it's just nice to have, so why wouldn't you, but with coconut milk and a bit of sugar, you know. And
the coconut milk is based. Oh, with a bit of sugar, is that it? Just coconut milk?
Yeah,
just so you're moistening it.
And you'd give it to kids, or like, you know, so obviously that's quite a savoury dish to have as your breakfast. And so you might have your egg curry with your nulapam, and to finish, you might have your coconut milk with like a bit of sugar in it.
This thing, food and history go in hand in. The Portuguese colonised Sri Lanka, so it was really to go there, and I wanted to see similarities. And they do things like patties, which are like the pastries, they like empanadas sort of thing, but and I knew they were Portuguese, so I wanted to try them. And also the croquettes, they call them croquettes, but we call them cutlets. And it was really interesting because the patties were really nice. They were more like bubbly.
We have like puffs, is the same.
Yeah. Well, I think that one's used with puff pastry, so it's more puffier.
Me and my family, we went to a Jamaican restaurant in Brixton, and there was roti on the menu, and you know, mutton curry, which Indian as well, like Sri Lankan as well, I'm sure. And there was actually a Caribbean woman there. She was saying, we share a lot of similar food because a lot of Indians came over, you know, to the Caribbean when Britain were colonised places, and so Indian people were moved over to the Caribbean, and so we share a lot of similar food history, and that was really interesting to know that.
I think that is a very important thing to show that actually people have been moving around for centuries and decades. It's nice because you see a connection between people and cultures, like things like the Dutch were in Sri Lanka, and I have to say, like, the tea was in Sri Lanka. because the British came. Now, the way it happened is not good. I have to say, England's very good at different cultures and making it own and accepting it. So, like, it's a very British thing. But tea is a very Sri Lankan thing. In Sri Lanka, it's like, I don't know, it's so expensive to get coffee, and it's not nice coffee.
Because chai is such a big part of Indian culture. You know, like 4 o'clock every day, everyone is having chai. Like kids, grandparents, like the whole family.
And then the afternoon tea. The British actually brought afternoon tea. Like, Sri Lankans got that culture from
the British.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I've been researching. That's the other good thing about business. I get to research and find out. So yeah, afternoon tea is a very big culture in Sri Lanka. So you know, when you sit down at 4 o'clock, it's not afternoon, but in the evening, and have a thing. And also in Sri Lanka, we do like really nice. We have cute little things like the shorties and stuff. And then we have like rainbow sandwiches.
What's that?
Basically, the bread is 3 layers.
Yeah.
And you have one layer will be like a butter spread, but it's got a bit of sugar, a bit of salt, and we put cheese in it and a bit of chili powder.
Oh wow.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
And then you put that, and then you can beetroot with a bit of they do carrots and it's just it's rainbow. It looks different colour, and it's really nice. And also there's this very memorable dish that I remember, and so basically it's called asparagus rolls. We don't use fresh asparagus. It's bread again, and you roll it out. You have a square, you cut off the crusts, and you roll it to make it thinner.
Oh yeah.
Then you put this flavoured spread. I have to remember what in, but it's basically lime juice and stuff, and it's nice. You spread it, and then you get from a tin.
No.
Which is like, I've never
had asparagus.
I've never to get that. That's
right.
it. You put the juice of the asparagus, you know, from the tin.
Yeah.
You put it in the butter. You get that in the butter, and you put a bit of salt and etc. And then you spread that, and then you dry your asparagus spears, and you literally roll it. So it's the bread is rolled around the asparagus, and that's like a little party snack or afternoon tea thing.
Yeah.
And my friend, my sister's friend, and our friend, we did it for her baby shower. She loves it.
Yeah.
But I'd never buy asparagus in a tin ever in my life.
Apart from this. One thing I say is I feel like South Asian people really know how to put different flavours. A bit of sweet, a bit of savoury, a bit of all those things that you talked about then. It's not things that you would naturally think go well together, but they do it in a way and it just tastes amazing. Yeah. Like once my mum, I swear it was her because there's no one else in the world who would put this together, but she told me like toast a piece of bread, put cheese on it, put some bananas on it, and then put a little bit of honey on it, and it was actually so nice
because she got that saltiness.
With the sweetness. Honey. It was yummy, but like never have thought that goes together. And still say it out loud, I think that doesn't sound nice.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah, but when you have it, you're like, wow, this goes.
I think they're very good at taking cuisines and cultures that have been in the country or have come to the country and then using their flavours. So like a lot of Sri Lankan Chinese restaurants, and they love noodles, they love their nasi gorengs, they love their stir fries. So the Chinese immigrated in Sri Lanka in the 1920s, I think, and they brought their cuisine. So we have a lot of what we call bar food, just you eat when you're drinking.
Chicken 65 and like that thing.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh my God. So we have something called hot butter cuttlefish, which is, you can use squid as well. That is dusted in like this flour, flour mix, then fried with turmeric and fried, and then fried with Malaysian chili, julienne vegetables, and it's hot, spicy, sticky. You know that sticky, but then the tang from the lime, then the sweetness from the thing. And my mum always taught me, said it's umami flavours. That's what get Sri Lankan food, and that's why it's spicy, but it's not spicy. Like you might eat it and it's spicy, but then you get all the other flavors and then it cleans your palate again. Yeah, and you're ready. It's actually quite Moorish, and but that style of also like we have. They're called pancake rolls. Sometimes they're called Chinese rolls, and someone argued with us on Facebook about this, but I'll tell them. Basically, they're called Chinese rolls because they were taken from like the smalls. So they're a mix. So you can mutton mix with pork mix or vegetable mix. Sometimes they even have a vegetable mix with an egg or a fish mix with egg, half an egg. It's wrapped in a pancake, like a crepe pancake, savoury, and then it's double panade and it's fried. You've got those concepts, and I think that's what's good about like your culture and my culture. It takes the food and it makes it so very good at making these flavours work that you don't think. With the desserts, we try and do the desserts a bit harder to do traditional.
Yeah.
Because as you know, like sometimes they're very sweet. We make sago. Sago is like they call it frog spawn, but like tapioca.
Oh yes,
You know,
yeah.
We make that with coconut milk and with stuff.
Yeah.
And also like a rice pudding, Sri Lankan. But what we try and do with the desserts is use Sri Lankan ingredients.
Yeah, like the mangoes that you put in, the cashew nuts.
Yeah. So my mum even like some things might not be favourable.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people actually don't like sago.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really old-fashioned dish in England. So it was served in dinners and stuff, and all they remember is just like it's tasteless and it looks like clear pearls. But I like it of memories, and because when we do cardamom, rosewater, kittle pani, you know, and it's sweeter and nicer. Also, I used it because my mum, every time got an ulcer, my mum said you have sago. It's got a good memory. We used Alfonso mangoes because it's
that was yummy.
Oh my God.
And also the cashew nuts you had, I could have probably eaten like a whole big bag
They're
of them.
very moorish,
yeah.
Though that again is Michael's creation. He got that, you know, higher level technique. So he roasts them and then coats them and then he fries them, and he's got that crunch and the texture. I have to say that one is Michael. But like things like the traditional chocolate biscuit pudding, so it's biscuits with chocolate cream with a bit of brandy, and it's nicely whipped up, so it's really late. And then you just soak the Marie biscuits.
Yeah.
And you soak them in milk and a bit of vanilla, and then you put roasted cashew nuts on top.
Wow.
So those sort of things we make it, but we add different elements to make it fancier. Also watala pan.
What's that?
Watala pan? I don't know. It's like a baked custard, but it's coconut milk, kittle pani, which is like a treacle, palm, and then eggs and spices, cloves, cinnamon thing. It's boiled up, and then you whip the eggs in. So kind of like a creme brulee, that mix. Nice. And then you bake it. Now, so you know creme brulee, you should have, well, it has a little shape to it still, so it's softer and it kind of melts in your mouth. Sri Lankans like the watala pan to be cooked, really cooked. So it's got holes in it.
Okay.
So you can slice it.
Right.
Now I love it that way. And you get like a drizzle of like sauce. It is nice, but I actually also like the way it's just undercooked. So it is kind of like creme brulee. So we use that concept, but we make it like a custard tart. And then we put like roasted cashew nuts. And also we're going to do it the Portuguese style way. You know, like Portuguese tarts.
Oh yeah, the egg custard tart. Yeah, natas. Yum, yeah.
I'm going to try and do that with the flaky of the Portuguese tart.
Nice.
Because it's a different pastry. So we're trying to infuse things, move it up. But yeah, desserts are a bit hard, but I'm glad you like that. It's mango season now.
Yeah.
Wants to taste a good mango, do it between April and August. Go to these Asian supermarkets and go, and you see all the aunties and all the people lifting up the boxes. Do you do that?
Yeah.
That. And then looks at all the...
Yeah, no, you've got to, because this is I taught Sean as well. You've really got to feel your food and like smell your food. Yeah. Because like I always smell my strawberries.
And also, you know if it's right.
But I think this is similar to what we're saying about Alm's cooking, because it's like you do it enough times that you touch it, you taste the right mango, and then you're like, right, that's ripe now. Yeah.
And also you can tell when something's off. You can tell something. I think society has lost that now. You know, everything comes in a pretty package.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know it's actually from the ground.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't like chicken thigh. No, actually, chicken thigh is the
most
best.
flavourful, isn't it? Yeah.
And also, it's the best to cook it with the curry, I think. You know, not breast and stuff.
Yeah.
But you need to be entwined with your food. And again, that's like where, you know, Buddhist culture, Hindu cultures, you know, in Sri Lanka, And that's, again, connecting to eating with hands. I didn't know. I just grew up eating with my hand, in the right hand. And I always grew up eating with my hand. Even if I asked my mum, she I don't think she really depth of it. So I started researching it. So I don't want it to seem, look, I used to eat with my hands a lot. And actually, I don't eat with my hands a lot now. Even I'm not talking fish and chips. I'm not talking. I'm talking rice. You know, the Sri Lankan cuisine. I realise I don't eat with my hands as much, and I'm like, why? The rice and curry tastes nicer with your hand.
Yeah.
And I just, it's not nothing stigma. It's just I don't. Sometimes it's a skill actually, and actually it does taste nicer. And I researched why that was, and it's because Buddhist culture, you know, traditionally we're very spiritual, and what they say is that it's wellness eating. So sensing it with your hands, you're smelling it, tasting it, eating it. You're mindful of how much you're eating at the time. You're mindful what you're eating at the time, and also they said, my mum said this as well. It's interesting because she'll mix her different from me, and it's also mixing the people who ate, you know, Sri Lankan food separately, and they go, oh, that's spicy. I said, yeah, but mix it together.
Yeah.
It balance it out.
Going back to like mixing the food, it's initially when you're in an Indian restaurant, everyone ordered their own curry and then their rice. But that isn't how curry and rice is supposed to be eaten. Traditionally, you would have probably like 2 or 3 curries every meal to rice. And then, like little salads, sides, etc. And it is mixing things together. Everyone has a different dish, don't they? Because it's how they make it and what the preference is. But I think now more people are starting to realise you don't just get rice. Like, it's supposed to be shared. It is family style,
And I think that, like you said, that is the way the dining experience is. Because if you think like tapas and you know, all the dumplings, and when you're in Portugal, they actually don't eat large amounts at one sitting. And I was surprised because so we went to this place and they said for 2 people there are 3 to 4 dishes. They're like little dishes, and I thought, oh, that's quite little, you know, and it was enough. And then actually these New Yorkers, they were lovely together, and they ordered 7, and the woman was like, oh my god, but they actually finished it and stuff. But she was, as Portuguese, she was really surprised. But I think that apparently what our culture does as well. They eat little, you know, little often. And I thought this sharing aspect does with tapas and all this thing, having little product, you eat little often, and then you can, and it's the best of both worlds, don't you? You never get food envy.
No, exactly, because everyone's sharing. What's the biggest challenge you found about running a food business?
It's a lot of hard work. What's the biggest challenge is getting the price point right for the consumers and getting the customers that you want to appreciate the food, because not everyone will appreciate this food. Food business is very hard. It's a lot of work. The majority of it is marketing, especially with Instagram and Facebook, knowing the algorithms and everything. That is I think that will be the hardest challenge, reaching your customers. Like Michael, bless him, he does all the Instagram. I'm very not techno. You know, if I go on Facebook and Instagram, it's just a quick scroll. I don't do anything. So Michael's the one. It is reaching and marketing, reaching the customers, getting the customers to notice you. So many different companies and businesses and Facebook, and also it's getting them brought into what you're doing. You know, we live in a very fast-paced world now. So you're constantly moving from the next one to the next one. So it's hard to get someone to stick and focus on you. Now you do that with colours and informative and knowing your algorithms and getting a professional that know what they're doing. It's also the costs of food business. You know, there are a lot of costs, and it's getting customers to understand that when you're selling that item, you're not going to get all the money from the item. You have to set your margins right so you can spend like 25, 35%, 45% of that on your expenditures. This is why we do pop-ups and events, because we don't have to buy. We would like to in the future buy a cafe, but right now our costs are limited, so we don't have to have rent. It's only now ad hocly when we do a pop-up. You've got electricity, you've got gas. Even if you do it not in a restaurant. The customers, hopefully, we need to understand that we still have those costs. Also, water, staffing costs, also paying yourself.
Yeah.
We don't really pay ourselves from the business. You know, food business is really hard. And also a lot of people, everyone knows food. Everyone cooks. So they think it's very easy, but it's all the back work. So if you're doing a business, food business, I think know your product. Do something that you are enthusiastic about. That's what you have to do, because the more enthusiastic, the more closer it is to your heart, the more you're going to put into it. Now, like I said, we've been doing this for 5 years, and we started from not knowing anything. Literally, Levenshulme Market was our first ever proper business thing, except for the deliveries. And we started with red paper tablecloths, you know, from Tesco's, and it just looked terrible. But we had to start from somewhere. So just take a chance on the little people, especially when you're independent. It's very, very hard to. It's breaking the seal and getting in the industry. But work very hard on it. It's tiring, and you have to do some things that you don't want to do. Like, I love the markets, but they're very tiring. And at 40 years old, you have to put the gazebos up. It's very weather dependent. So it's one of the hardest industries to go with the least amount of reward. But that's why you do something that you truly believe in, and that your heart is close to it, because you will keep pushing. Now, we do agency work and we do this. So we pay agency work to pay our bills. So always have something steady, whatever it is, to have something steady. But yeah, I would say the hardest thing is breaking into it, getting the price point right, and getting your customers that will pay the price point and targeting to that. I do think getting yourself noticed is very hard in these days. But one thing I do like about Manchester and up north is it is about independence. You know, it's all about independent, and people will follow. It's not a lot of chains, you know, to a point here, especially in Stockport.
Yeah. It's
all
super independent.
We love Stockport now. It's, you know, we know a lot of businesses but they're all independent.
Yeah.
We did the Stockport party.
Yes. Yeah,
And
I
it
was there, but I didn't see you guys. Yeah.
Well, we sold out quite quickly. We didn't realise how. It's the first time we did it. We'll do it next year.
Nice.
As well. We've got a bigger plan. We're going to party after.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I'll see you there.
But yeah, the hardest thing is breaking through to your customers. So just perseverance. Just keep going, keep going. First of all, do everything that you can do to know where you need to be. That's what we did. We did all the big markets. Some of them we did not get any money and we lost, and we had to put a lot of money into our business personally. But if you persevere and then you figure out where your market is, then you'll know. Now I think we found it. But yeah, the hardest thing is breaking through and getting noticed and finding your customers. Everything else you can figure out. But this is it's always hit and miss sometimes. But it's also getting the customers to realise that good food has a certain price point, and our food's home cooked. It's home cooked. It's from the heart. We make all our curries. We make all our rotis. We make all our cutlets. We work as well. Also, people think curry's cheap. Curry's just a curry. You know, it's not. It's so tight. You can't make a curry in a hurry. It still needs time to cook. And you know, when there's people that aren't making every product, and then people come to us and think we're expensive. It's stopped now because I think we've found our customer base, our niche, you know, where we fit in the market. I think it's hard, but just keep going. Know what you want to do. Do it from the heart, and just make sure you have a backup salary.
Oh, very good pieces of advice. It is a common thread that I hear from a lot of small business owners is, one, just like you said, get started and just go for it, because that only way that you're going to learn is by doing it and making mistakes.
You know that they say you learn more from your mistakes than from your achievements.
Yeah.
But it's also the industry as well. Government and councils, they need to understand that actually hospitality is a very important industry, and this industry is not paid enough. I used to do 70 hours a week in London. I used to start at 7 in the morning and finish at 1 a.m. in the morning because I was pastry chef. And then as I start, and it was constant.
That's
but
mad.
I only got paid for 40 hours. So they signed a waiver 48. I mean, I think it's better now, and the younger generation, because I'm 40, so the younger generation, like 20, they're not having that. So some businesses are shutting for 4 days, they have 3 days off. And in those 4 days you work 12 hours, but actually at least you have a day off. Because when I was doing it, my work-life balance was terrible. I didn't have a partner. My boyfriends weren't in the industry and they didn't understand. And I mean, that's the good thing about Michael, and we're both chefs, but the industry needs to start taking care of its employees. The industry needs to start paying them better, giving them company sick pay. I mean, my fear is if I break my leg and I can't work, they might give me a little bit, but it's statutory sick pay. I think the government needs to focus a bit more on this. You know, like this 20% tax, it's hard because you've actually got a lot of expenditures. When you open up a restaurant, you don't just open up the restaurant. You have to have staff, you have to kitchen porter, you have to have chefs, you have to have front of house, you have to have electricity, gas. And that electricity, gas is constantly turning. So I think, there needs to be a bit more help. A bit more help from the government, from even the industry heads. The issues of working in industry, a lot of people can't take it. So there needs to be a bit more care.
So true, because it's such a booming, popular industry. And if we're not taking care of the people who are working in it, then really it is just like we're exploiting them.
Yeah. But it's in everything. So COVID, at the start, they did put it down on skilled workers. But then they realised, who cooks the food in the schools? So I work in schools now. Who cooks the food in hospitals? Who cooks food in old people's homes? So it's actually everywhere. Hospitality is everywhere. I think people felt it when COVID. That was the first time that even chefs stopped working. It was a point where everything stopped. And they actually we want food, and it's celebration, and it's in every aspect of your life. Hospitality, it's in every aspect. When you're sick, when you're born, when you have a birthday, when you go to school, it's everywhere. So why is it seen as such a bottom level industry? Chefs need to be skilled, because all these rules, allergens, all these issues, it's becoming more and more important to be skilled. So what we found is that Michael and I have 24 years of this industry, and we get replaced because they don't want to pay us what we earn. 24 years in another industry. In other industries, they'd be respected. I went back to uni at 25 to get a degree, to learn the background. I was told I have to go back down to bottom level salary. And I said, but why? I've worked 15 years in this industry. I've got a degree. Appreciate the skills. I've never been asked for my certificate in England. In Australia, I was asked for it and I was freaking out because I couldn't find it. You can be a chef and not be trained, but you need to learn how to still have the skills. Because I did apprenticeship. Michael did full-time catering chef qualification. I did apprenticeship. So I worked in good places and I got taught, and I went to college once. I'm not saying that just because you haven't got trained in academic, you're not a chef. But what I'm saying is it's the skills. And also respect the skills that we have and pay us appropriately. I woke up at 25 and I thought, got no money, got a very good career. But I think industry needs to be looked after a lot more. And customers need to appreciate them a lot more. Tip. Tip when it's good service.
You heard it here first. Yes. Okay, are you ready? Shall we do rapid fire question round?
Okay, go on then. Okay.
I love rapid fire question round. Okay. Sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Yeah, nice. What are you having then?
I love, my favourite dessert is either baked Alaska, my mum's baked Alaska, which is ice cream meringue.
Yeah.
You bake it. Well, my mum used to put fruit compote, 2 different ice cream, carbonara ice cream.
Wow.
Yeah. A pecan, the pecan one, and then the chocolate one, I think, and then a berry compote, and she'd cover it in meringue, and it has to be baked.
You don't do it with a blowtorch.
You can do it with a blowtorch, but I love it when it's baked.
Right.
But I understand why people do it with a blowtorch in restaurants and stuff because of holding it. So it's still nice. But when my mum used to do it, she used to bake it and then a chocolate sauce.
Wow.
Actually, that is my favourite dessert.
That sounds
my mum's
amazing.
baked Alaska. But the next is sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, I love a sticky toffee pudding.
I have to say, Delia Smith's sticky toffee pudding
Really
is the
good.
best recipe I've seen, because she gets pecans and she tosses it in the sauce, puts it on top and puts it on the grill.
Wow.
So you crystallise the pecans.
sounds
Delia Smith, sweet.
So good. Delia Smith is such a throwback.
I know.
I love that. Okay, go-to comfort meal.
rice and curry.
Yeah. What curry? What rice?
I love red rice, paripu, which is Sri Lankan dal, mutton curry. I do like a beef or mutton curry. I like brinjal. Actually, that or lump fry. Lump
What's
fry
that?
is my death row meal kind of situation. Lamprey, it's either called lamprey as well from another country. So it's banana leaf and you cook everything separately. This is what it has to be, and this was a lamprey. Mixed meat curry, so it's got really small diced up pork, chicken, beef, and then it's like a dark curry. And then ash plantain curry it's got in it. It's got a brinjal, which is aubergine pickle. Frikadelle, which comes from, it's actually a Dutch dish. So Dutch, which is like a meat ball, panade and deep fried. And belacan, which is like a spicy prawn, tangy side thing. I think that's everything. And then sini sambal, which is spicy onion relish. And then and a ghee rice, samba rice, which is a special type of rice. It's a fatter rice. And it's made with ghee and cooked in the meat stock.
Nice.
So when you boil the meat separately, you keep the stock and then you cook it. And then you fold it all in and then you bake it. You put a bit of coconut oil, you bake it. And then when you open that up, oh my God, the smell. And because it's so intricate to make, we make it at Christmas and we do sometimes, I think we might do it for our Christmas supper club.
Nice.
That is my heart. Because also in Sri Lanka, and here, sometimes they call it a lamprey, but it's a rice packet. But a lamprey has to have those things. That is my favourite.
That sounds amazing. Last thing you ordered on delivery or Uber Eats?
Maki ramen.
What's your favourite restaurant?
The one we've gone to a lot, and one of my favourites is Seabus.
Where's that?
Seabus is in Levenshulme. It's Italian, but it's not like your normal Italian. It's different types of cuisine, types of that cuisine. So it's not just pasta and, they make the nicest dough balls. They change their menu very differently. So it's like slow cooks. It's very summery sometimes. And do you know what it is? It's a really homey feel. When you go there, you feel like you're not just a customer. They are really nice. Giorgio is lovely. And also when my niece and nephew, when Benji and Gracie come, they love it there. It's very hard to take children to restaurants, and he's a picky eater. Kids are, they know what they want, but every time they go, they love it.
I'll have to go.
It's Seabus, it's really, I think that's one of my favourite restaurants for like dinner, but then the Colombian restaurant in Stockport.
I've never been there.
It's really nice.
I have heard it's really good.
He's really nice. I seem to have got addicted to his breakfast, so when I'm off, if we weren't doing this, I would have said, Michael, do you want to go to the breakfast? To him.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. His Colombian sausages, he makes his Colombian sausages, and it's really, really nice. So yeah, I've got several different ones for different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seabus is my top because I've gone to it the most. It's always perfect.
Dream supper club guest, dead or alive?
I have to say one of his is Asma Khan.
Yeah, I bet.
I would love her to come.
Asma Khan, get yourself to Stockport.
Yeah. You'd love the food. But yeah, I think that's Asma Khan. But I also think I'd just like to know my relatives. My grandma, to be honest. She died after my first birthday. Literally after it. So I think I'd actually like to know my grandma. My granddad was Sia was in Sri Lanka, so I got to know him when I was growing up. Not as close, but we got to know him. But my Archie, yeah, I think I'd like to know her, just so I can't remember anything of her. So yeah, there you go.
That's a good choice.
Sorry, I wasn't famous.
Favorite chef?
Anthony Bourdain.
Oh yeah. I love his shows.
It's not only because of his chefing, because I don't really know that much inside of it, but it's he kind of got a connection with me and Michael and other chefs that do it for the heart and the passion, and also to learn different cuisines. Anthony Bourdain, Kitchen Confidential, it's a book he wrote, and my auntie Shiana gave it to me. And it was true form of what the kitchen's like in the 80s and 90s and stuff. And he goes around, and every time we go to a place, we try and find if he's gone to a restaurant there. And
Yeah,
we go there. Because
yeah.
also he goes in the, like, not the famous ones. Adley Bourdain. He truly wants to know the culture.
Because even watching his shows, you can tell he thinks good food can be anywhere, doesn't he? It's not about eating at the fanciest
No,
places.
it's not about the French, you know,
No.
the French
No.
style of cooking, cutting, you know.
Yeah. He could be going somewhere, buying something for £2 or less, and he's like, that's the best food
Yeah.
that I've tasted. And I love to see that because chefs are anywhere, and realistically, you don't need to be paying £100 for a meal for it to be really good.
No.
And it's just about
And the
being...
hole in the walls are normally the
Yeah,
better ones for
yeah.
these sort of cultural foods.
Yeah. Like, be unpretentious, basically.
That's where food came from. Also, with him, it's kind of like the similarity of us. It's the heart, it's the mind, it's the soul, it's the memories, it's the connection. And also, he used to go to places. He used to tell the truth of that country. I do like Rick Stein as well.
Yeah.
For his fish, but all Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, love.
Anthony Bourdain. I would have loved to meet him, actually.
Yeah, I bet he's a really cool person.
He was a very suffering person, but
Yeah.
I loved him. I love him. Yeah.
Okay, kitchen utensil you can't live without.
A mixer, because then I can make cakes. Actually, a mixer. My Kenwood mixer.
Is it a stand mixer?
Yeah. Kenwood's the best.
Is it?
Everyone goes for KitchenAid, but they break quite quickly. My mum used to have a Kenwood. She only got rid of it a few years, and she had it before I was born.
Wow. We were actually wanting to get a stand mixer, so thank you for the plug.
Kenwood. And also Kenwood's good, because KitchenAid's good, but a lot of kitchens have it, but they break very easily. Especially if you want to do like maths, because I've seen you bake a lot and stuff as well.
So
isn't it?
yeah, I'm trying to get into it.
So if you get Kenwoods, they're solid. They are a bit heavy, but they're solid. They also have loads of different attachments. They are standstill the best.
Wow.
And I use Kenwood for our business as well. And like I said, my mum like literally just got rid of hers about after 35 years.
I need to get one.
Yeah, Kenwood, honestly, yeah.
I'll
Kenwood.
be getting that. That was us. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Good. I'm glad you thought so.
Yeah.
Thank you.